Good morning, everybody. I'm off location from my typical come to you every week, but I am Mandy Brenham, the full-time investor. This is the show called The Full-Time Investor. My amazing producer, Larry Brenham, who is again behind the scenes. He's back in the production studio, and I thank you for being here for another episode. You know what? I love my Thursday mornings. I love the motivation that I have. I've got a group call that I have, and then I have all of these amazing guests. And this week is absolutely no difference. He is a power team person. He's a person on my power team. He has assisted me in the growth that I've had in 2019. I watch from him. I learn from him. What is this? You stand on the shoulders of giants. You are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I know that I have grown because of this, the presence that Dylan has had in my life in this year. And so with no further ado, I'd like to share Dylan Suitor come on the show as a guest today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It was awesome to speak with you yesterday, as we normally do, and say, hey, hop on a show today. So here we are, and whatever I can do to add value to the listeners and the individuals watching, I'm more than happy to do so.
You know what I love? I love that you say, like, your week is scheduled, your week is packed, your days start early, and I know we're going to touch on that, but you know what? You give a busy person a task, and you know darn well it's going to get done. So I thank you for carving this time out of your schedule to be here with us today.
My pleasure. I'm actually just in a course for the day, and it was funny because I was sitting in a hallway, and I was like, this isn't really a good spot for noise. So I went and asked around, and they actually put me into the bridal room. So I'm actually looking at where the room that the bride gets ready at, and I'm in this venue. So it's I'm throwing it together. We're making it work. So it's we're doing whatever we have to make sure you success.
Absolutely. Dylan, I want you to be able to explain, because I think I would do it a disservice, although I could certainly tell some of your acclimates, things that you've accomplished, but I'd like the listeners to be able to hear from you, what you have done, who you are, and then we can just kind of continue on from there.
Amazing. Happy to share what I can. I am 29 years old. I have been a real estate agent for a little over 3 years, 3.5 years now. Just actually yesterday released that our team is number 19 in the country. So that's really exciting for total number of units sold. And you're a large part of that. As an investor myself, I've personally purchased 225 doors so far this year, which is a big accolade in itself. And it started October 3rd last year. So I got to kind of go back to last October. I'd be lying if I said it was this year. It's actually a little over 12 months now for 225 closings. And we just closed yesterday on our 32-unit apartment building. So that was the biggest one yet. Very excited to kind of break into that and start with the apartment building game. I've been in real estate. My mom was in mortgages, or has been in mortgages her whole life. So I always saw the Scotiabank way, and it was only the Scotiabank way. There was nothing else. And you got capped at 5 or 10 properties, whatever your broker said at the time. My mother for me, and then I was at 5 properties up until last year, and it's just through networking. It's around surrounding myself around big thinkers, watching videos like this, podcasts, being on podcasts, and so on and so forth, to really find out who could be that difference maker. Because anything's possible. You just need to find that person who's going to get you to the next level. So I was at 5 properties up until last year, and as of October 3rd, 2018, we started closing with private money. And we have my business partner and I, 186 units, I think, with the one partner, and then the rest are with another partner. And I haven't put a dollar into any of them. And I'm actually the money partner on the 186, not even the production partner. So it's all about who you know and being able to build a good credit rating and having kind of the rapport with your circle. So.
You busted so many different myths right there in that opening statement. Some people would say you said you're capped at 5. Okay, you might be capped at 5, but you're also under 30. So why so young? Why now? Why just, I don't know. How did the drive come to you at this point?
Well, if you take a blank sheet of paper and you draw a triangle, you make it a little bit rough, and then you put a line about 90% up that triangle right across, what you've just done is you've built that glacier, and at that top is that peak of the glacier. And that's really what I just explained to you, is the peak of the glacier. It's the good. It's the 225 doors in a year, under 30 years old. It's the private money. It's all that good stuff that I just told you, because those are the accolades, right? That's the big deal. That's what people want to hear. What you don't hear, what you don't see is everything under that iceberg. And that iceberg has been massive. I've been building on this since I was 17, started my own business at 17, went through university. My first year in university, my first summer, I went out twice as a 18-year-old kid, bar hopping, whatever that may have been, twice in an entire year. And one was for my best friend's birthday, and one was my girlfriend at the time's birthday. And that's all I did. Everything else was work. I'd get up early, I'd commit to success, I'd do whatever I had to do to make sure that I could reach my goals and get to where I wanted to be. And that over the years has built up to where I'm at now. So it wasn't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden October 3rd, okay, bye. It's been all the back end. It's been networking. It's been out. I mean, I've seen you at a number of networking events and you always see me there, and I'm always on my game. That's when I'm the best. So my lead generation is networking events. And every week in my calendar, I attend a minimum of 2, preferably 3, 3-hour networking events. And that's really where I start to talk to people and go out and kind of show my interactive side.
So again, though, let's go back to this 5, because most people, you're right. They, I remember my mentor at the time said, welcome to the 1% of the 1%. And, 1% of the population have more than 3 assets, and 1% of that 1% have more than 10 or something. You shattered that. But where did the drive come from? Were you rags to riches here? You said your mom was at Scotiabank. Where was the drive to be able to just say, you know what, I don't want someone to put a ceiling on me. I'm actually just going to shoot for the stars.
So I'm a child of an early divorce. My mom and dad got divorced when I was less than a year old. My mom got remarried within the same year. And I have kind of 3 parents, I guess you could call it. I have my father, who went back to Sheridan College, got straight A's. He was one of 7 out of 200 people that graduated this tech program. When it comes to books, when it comes to studying, he can do it. Wow. And he's never made over $40,000 a year. Okay. Because all he did was he put his time and energy into Booksmart. And then I had my mother, who had her boyfriend of grade 12 do her final assignment so she could pass grade 12. And the boyfriend didn't actually do those assignments for himself and didn't pass grade 12. And it's I have the one half of education where it's educate. And I have the other half where it's put in the hard work, put in the dedication, focus on what you're good at. And that's what my mom did. She kills mortgages. That's what she does really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Don't ask her to spell anything over 5 letters because she won't get you there. At the end of the day, though, she doesn't have to, because when it goes to mortgages, that's the only over 5-letter word that she can spell, and she gets it really good. So
yeah, I bet you she can spell $1 million.
Well, that's what she actually always says. I'm the dumbest millionaire you'll ever meet. That's literally word for word what she says. And I watched from a very young age. She literally worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table. She was living out of my uncle's place at the time. My uncle was there. My grandparents would come over. They'd babysit me when I was less than a year old, just an infant. And she would literally go to work. She'd come home. She'd feed me. She'd go back to work. She'd come home. She'd feed me. She'd go back to another job. And she'd sleep for 2 hours. And it was just nonstop. It was nonstop. It was hustle. It was the grit. And that's what really drives me now, because I looked at what her grit got her. And I looked at all those things that she developed in that. And I saw the benefit. I was like, that's amazing. And then I look at the positive and the negative of it. And what I noticed is that she would focus so much on work and so much on just making sure she was successful and kind of proving the doubters wrong. And she would never take time for herself. And so that's where my stepfather came in. And he's been the rock that's kind of solidified everything. So I had my father, who just nonstop, he just works, and doesn't ever make anything because he doesn't think about it. He just kind of goes to work and never leverages anything. I have my mother, who works. She'll leverage some stuff, but she makes sure that she's benefiting. And then I had my stepfather, who was always there when I got home from school. He would be the first person that if I got sick, I'd be calling, and he'd drop what he was doing and he'd get back and do it. Whenever Christmas time would come, he'd be the one saying, no, you're not getting it. No, you're not getting it. No, you're not getting it. And then I'd get it. And he would be the one that would go out and make it possible, make it happen. So I really had 3 people in my life from a very young age that all were kind of monumental for the personality that I am now. And then I had my cousin, who is actually a business partner with me in that 32-unit building, who's 4 years older than me. His dad was a multimillionaire, owns multiple businesses, bunch of bingo halls, all kinds of stuff. And he kind of had everything. And he was really, really book smart, and went to Dartmouth and always got 95 plus on everything he did. And I was just kind of the kid in the dark. And so I was looking towards being him. I looked up to him. And so you talk about those 5 people. I mean, I had those 5 people from a young age, didn't know it, right? It was really from a young age, it was surrounding myself around those people. And I think the real game changer was when I was self-employed. I started my painting company. My mom said, don't do it until you see a lawyer. I went ahead and did it anyways. About 2 years in, I said, I met my ceiling of achievement. I've reached that max. I'm not breaking through this without somebody else around me. And that was when I actually reached out to a couple different people and I found a coach. Didn't know what I needed a coach for. Didn't know what she did, how she'd do it. Found out about a government grant. And she told me that, what was it? 5/6 of that government grant would be covered. So 5/6 of her costs would actually be covered by the government grant. So I'd only have to pay 1/6 of it. So I'm like, okay, well, I need a coach. I want something. I was looking for something and I got into coaching, and she wrote on a board when I went in to see her the second time, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. Who are your 5? Whoa. And I still remember that minute walking up into this little office she had, and it was a joint space. And I walked in and she had it on the whiteboard, and I was like, what does that mean? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you. That's for you to figure out. And I was like, what does that even mean? And up until now, up till this day, I still always look at who my 5 are. It was in my journal. I wish I had my journal with me right now. It's in my journal this morning, actually, to review my 5 and adjust. And what I do every quarter is I'll write down who are the 5 people I'm spending the most time around right now. And for me to reach my goals, who do those 5 people have to be? And sometimes there's some duplicates. Yep. There's sometimes, like Lorraine Jordan, she's been on that multiple times. She's one of those 5 now. She's one of those 5 in the future. So you surround yourself around those people. Although there also is other people that if I'm going to get where I want to be, I have to change the way I think. And the way I think comes down to surrounding myself around other individuals that I can change the way I think.
Yep. You know, I just had a mastermind every Thursday morning, 9 o'clock. And we did a live here on to be able to say, like, you know, our group collaboratively have bought more than 10 properties in the last 6 months. So again, that's certainly not your doors, but in the average world or the above average world, this is phenomenal. And it is who you're talking to. And, you know, you say to some people like, oh my God, I've got this insurmountable problem. And then somebody like you would be like, oh, that's not a problem. You know, here's a few options. This is how I got over it. And all of a sudden you feel normal that somebody else has had the same problems and you just lift it up to their level to be able to say, like, that's not a problem anymore. It's just, what is this? Somebody's problem is somebody else's opportunity, right? What is your daily, I want people to know about what your daily habits are, because you are extreme, but I love it because you also have extreme results. And so I think you're the whole package, but let's tell people what your day is like.
I read The Miracle Morning. Hal Elrod is one of those 5 people for me now. And just a side note of that 5 people, you don't have to be face-to-face with them. It can be someone you're listening to on a podcast, a book you're reading, a John Maxwell book if you want to become a better leader, a Tony Robbins if you want to be full of passion, whatever that may be. And so Hal Elrod is one of those 5 for me. And it's all about pouring into myself first. What this year has been a lot about self-discovery and about if you don't be the best version of yourself, you can't get back to anyone else. So after reading The Miracle Morning, I used to be someone who'd get up at 7:50 for an 8 o'clock appointment, and Hal challenged us to get up to 4 o'clock. So I started waking up at 5 or 6, and then 5, and then 4, and I've been on 4 o'clock ever since. I'm going to say I'm probably 80% that I will get up at 4 a.m. because nobody's perfect. I definitely could be better. And there's also, I have a relationship, so I have to have date night. And when I have date night, I'm probably not going to bed at 10 o'clock, and I'm not going to go to bed at 1 and then get up at 4 because it doesn't make sense. Your body can't function that way. So from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock, I pour into myself. And that's for the 6 savers of The Miracle Morning, which is your silence, your affirmation, your visualization, your reading, your exercise, and scribing or journaling. I've really grown on a few of them. And when you actually listen to his podcast, read the books, what he actually digs deep into about those 6 areas is that all historical success has come from one of those 6. Like anybody you look at that's been super successful in the past, maybe they're still around, maybe they're not, they love one of those. So maybe they meditate and that's their peace, that's their serenity. Maybe they exercise really, really well, and that's what gets them to their peak performance, is they're always exercising more. And Hal Elrod actually put all 6 together. And that was when it was just a mind blown, like, okay, wait, these are the 6 savers, he calls them. And so I'm still not perfect. I don't do affirmations every day. And I don't visualize every day. I do that sometimes. I do that as much as I can for now, and I'm always growing to improve that. Although I will say I exercise at least 5 days a week, sometimes 7. I'm journaling every day. My goal is to journal twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. I do spend more time in the morning. It's normally 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes just recapping the day. I talk about what I'm grateful for. I talk about what I did to add value to someone's life in that day. Yep. So in the morning, I say, who do I want to add value to? In the evening, I say, this is who I added value to and what conversations that was. And then I put some goals and I put some outcomes. So I do that twice a day. I also do I do read a lot more. I never used to read. I used to read Scooby-Doo because it was like 60 pages and I had to do something for a book club. And now I'm realizing that kind of learners are earners, and I want to make sure that I'm constantly growing and bettering myself. So I do read as well. So from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, it's those areas.
I've got Chris Deering. Thanks for watching, Chris. He's asking, is there anything that you avoid?
Looking at my phone before 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's huge.
And knowing what is going to distract me and being able to beat that before it gets to me. So for instance, my meditation, I've always struggled with meditating. I don't sit still. As you can see, I'm moving around, I'm jumping, my feet are going, you don't even notice. And I have this headband, it's called a Muse, M-U-S-E. And the
Yeah.
Muse 2 is the one I purchased. And so I put it on, I put my headphones on, and I spend 5 minutes. I don't spend a half an hour, I don't spend an hour, I spend 5 minutes. Sometimes when I know I'm going to miss it, I'm like, I slept in 3 minutes. Well, then I cut it down to 2 or 3 minutes. I just make sure I get it in there every day. And so I put that headband on, and that's how I avoid missing it. Is I'll make the concession to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get something that's going to make me do it every day. And then even, for instance, going to the gym. If I'm not going to do it in the evenings, I know I'm not going to do it in the evenings, so I have to do it first thing in the morning. So I know that I have to reply to my emails the night before, or I have to leverage it off. Because if I have 25 emails that that are unread, I'm very adamant. I get back to my emails within a day, sometimes within a couple minutes. I'm normally very communicative there, and that's a bit of a struggle for me. So what I do is in the mornings, I don't look at them, and the best way I can do that is make sure I take care of them the night before. So if I get rid of everything, I block off an hour in the evening to do all my emails. If I have 5, 6, 7 emails, whatever it is, I can get to that at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, noon, whatever it is.
Yep.
When I have 30, because I haven't done anything that day, that part just panics me. So I make sure I cut that out as well.
Good for you. Good for you. So, Chris, I hope that's some good tips for you. So you are an agent and an investor, and you balance both here. And the cool thing is, under 30 is under 30. How do you foresee what you're doing and a family coming in? Is there a family coming in? You said there's a significant other, and I certainly have met her myself, but add in one more delicate piece into that, or tell us, does it fit into that?
My family right now is my team. So while we're in the building phases, like I said, a little over 3 years, we have a rock solid team around me. I have a couple of agents on the team, a couple of admin. They do a lot to serve me and make sure that we are offering the best service. When I say I'm 19 in the country in Canada, that's not me. That's the team. So we've done that together, and we really are strong and passionate about that team. So my focus right now, and I even mentioned to the team on Wednesdays, every Wednesday morning before I left for Ottawa, I had a meeting with each of them. So I spent 15 minutes reviewing their personal goals and their business goals each week to see what we can do to get them on track. And I told each and every one of them, I said, your responsibility is buyers, your responsibility is sellers, your responsibility is my emails, whatever that may be. Whatever that one thing is, to make sure that team level is a 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10. And the reason I want that is because once I have the team super solid around me, I can step back. And my future is in coaching and developing others. My future is in training and educating. And I know I constantly get asked, how did you get this number of properties? And I'm always like, it was really lucky. It's just a lot of dedication. It's a lot of dedication and hard work. And it also takes stepping back and kind of looking at what you're doing. And what I do there is I want to take a month off next year where I work 1 day a week, and it'll be just on my team. I'll do coaching with my team, and that's it. And I'm going to go back through all my journals. I'm going to go back through all my recordings. I record a lot of my coaching calls. I have 3 coaches. I have 4 mentors every single week. So 7 to 9, that's when I do that in the mornings. And I want to go through all that, and I want to make notes. I'm going to write a book on it, whether it be next year or the year after. I'm not exactly sure what that is. And it's going to be a book because that book is going to get me in front of others. That's going to share a story, which is going to bring more to the team. And so what I'm doing is I'm building that team around me. So my future will be in speaking, it will be in coaching, and I can do that from anywhere. I can do that anytime. I'm going to really dial back my schedule. I just know that in order to get where I want to be before I have a family and before I have kids, I need to make sure I put the hours in now.
Cool. I take a breath because I take you in when I hear you, when I chat with you, and I thank you for that, because I always say a little bit of me goes with you, but a little bit of you comes with me. And so there's certainly times when I've had cold showers in the morning, I'm thinking Dylan does this, so I know I'm going to do this. And you don't feel alone when you're sitting there at 5 o'clock in the morning going, there's really not a lot of people up, but I'll go, I know Dylan's awake right now. So I'm certainly with you on that. Now you've got something really coming up. So again, are you driven by money? Are you driven by power? Are you driven by significance? Like, what gets you up every day to be able to keep going and doing what you're doing?
So Tony Robbins talks about those 6 human needs, and I always forget about the first 2. It's significance and love. Those are the 3 and 4. The first one, certainty and uncertainty. That's what it is. So certainty, uncertainty, significance, and love and relationship. And those are kind of the human needs are selfish. and the human needs that are kind of selfless and for others is growth and contribution. And when I sat down and I listened to that, I really resonated with that. I spend a lot of time on myself growing, and I spend a lot of my time on significant in contribution and giving back. And I've done I do a lot of seminars. I'm in front of a lot of people. And last November, I went to a seminar that I didn't even know what it was. It was called Growth Word Summit. When I got there, it was all about giving back. And it was one of the most successful agents in all of Keller Williams, North America, actually. She's the world. And her goal was to give away $100,000 in that one session, that one seminar. And so I looked at my kind of business partner, I'll call him, and I looked over and I said, what can we do to give back, and how can we make a bigger impact? And so being in charge of kind of KWYP in Canada, the Young Professionals chapter in Canada, we ended up creating this event that we thought we could start off at, say, oh yeah, we'll bring 100 people in a room, and it'll just be this 100 guys that care. We'll donate 10 grand or something, and we'll do this small little event that's gonna impact people, and we'll build up. And then we both looked at each other and said, we're not little people. We're not gonna build these little goals. We're gonna go all out. And so we built a challenge that was a real big challenge. We wanted to put 1,000 people in a room for an event, and we wanted to give $250,000. And we may not reach that, although we are going to be a huge success. We've already sold over 450 tickets, plus the charity gala tickets. We've received over $300,000. We have our expenses on top of that, obviously. So we're probably going to get somewhere between $400,000 and $450,000 in income in the event. Obviously, there's a lot of expenses to make an event like that happen, and all proceeds are going to charity. And really, what it came down to is, why are we doing what we do? How do we get where we got? And like I said, Hal Elrod is one of those 5 people for me. So we reached out, and we actually have a Hal coming to speak in just north of Toronto in Mississauga at the Pearson Convention Center. You know it very well, being a RAIN member. So it's going to be at the RAIN Center. I was there yesterday kind of setting it all up, and it's going to be November 11th and 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then again, on the 11th, we're doing the charity gala. So we do have kind of a cocktail hour from 5 o'clock until 6 o'clock. And then we start dinner at 7:30, and we have a live auctioneer. John Montgomery is coming to speak on that as well. And so we just started asking questions to our chapter and to our leadership in KW and some of my investor clients, and just said, what can we do to add more value to your life? And how can we do it in a large scale? And what can we do to really change the way you look at life? And it was bring an event such as some of the stuff that we go to already to Toronto. And yes, there's other conferences, there's other stuff going on. Although what we do, we really do believe is totally different. It is going to be a 2-day event, and at the end of day 1, it's going to be a charity event. And we're not taking $1. I mean, this has been 25 hours of my life, the last 8 months of my life, and 25 hours a week of my life, the last 8 months. And I don't get paid for that. This is nothing about paid. This is nothing about money back. This is all about how can we give back and make a difference. And kids are something that is important to me. I think that I'm someone who was poured into at a young age from my mentors that I reached out to. This is an opportunity for us to raise money for KW Kids Can, as well as a couple other charities locally. Although Kids Can is the one that I brought up. And what they do is we teach something called Quantum Leap. And Quantum Leap is all about the principles that I'm now explaining to you. The 80-20 principle, how 20% of your success comes from 80% of your activities, right? But the 80% of your money will come from 20% of those activities. So what is your 20%, right? What is self-mastery? So at 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., I am self-mastering myself. I'm coming over that. So that's what Quantum Leap dives into. Yeah. It talks about take 30% of your income from when you're a kid. If you make $5,000 a year, take 30% of it and then put it aside. Put 10% to invest, put 10% into savings, and put 10% into giving. Why not start giving from a very young age? If you give $500, that's more than you would have before if you didn't start doing that. So it really focuses on those areas, and that's one of the charities that we're putting a bunch of money towards, to put kids through that opportunity. And my focus, what I want to change my attention to, is actually going to colleges and high schools and speaking about Quantum Leap on a larger scale in front of these children. Because if I impact one of them to go and make a difference, that's a difference that can really be a huge impact. It kind of sends a tidal wave throughout the school and wherever that may be.
And I think Larry, in the background there, if Larry will post the link for people to be able to go on and buy tickets. What is the Real Estate Growth Summit is what the title of it is?
Yeah, it's the Real Estate Growth Summit. And as I mentioned, I mean, we do have the VIP tickets. Those are $500. They come with a bunch of VIP access. You have a VIP room. You get access to speak with some of the top realtors. The number one realtor in the world actually did over $1 billion in revenue last year, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He'll be here, and top realtor in all of Philadelphia of the last 30 years. He'll be here. Hal Elrod will be there. John Montgomery. We have a number of speakers you get actually to sit down with and sign the book. So VIP is definitely a value add. The VIP is 500. Regular price is 400. We kind of stepped back after we looked at the ticket sales and said, you know what are we really looking for here? Are we looking to get as much income as possible? Or are we looking to spread this word around to as many people as possible? So our cost on this event isn't much more than $200, or much less. It's a little bit less than $200. And what we're doing is we're actually doing buy one, get one until the event. The day of the event, ticket prices will go up. It will be more expensive for anybody who shows up because we have to try and figure out a way to oh, perfect. We have to try and figure out a way for the venue not to shoot us when we tell them we have 30 more people or whatever it is that show up. Although we are doing the buy one, get one now. So I do highly recommend, if you want to have an impact, who are you going to take a stand for? Who are you going to kind of stand up and say, I want this person to come with me? Because that's what the buy one, get one really is for. So who are you willing to spend the $400 and bring someone with you that could make a larger impact? Because $200 from what you're going to get in value. I went and saw Hal in Cleveland about a month ago. There was about 300 people in that room, and it was just for him for 2 hours. So that was a really powerful day. His story is absolutely phenomenal. You'll get a copy of his book there that you can get signed. You can get a copy of Nick Kusmich, the top marketing analyst in the world. It's picture with John Montgomery, who's a gold medalist in the Vancouver Olympics, amazing race Canada host. He's also a professional auctioneer. So there's lots of value you're going to get out of this. It's a really, really, really inexpensive opportunity to be around some top producers and some top thinkers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're coming up to the end of the show. I would like you to be able to talk specifically to the people who are under 30. And, you know, what are some pieces of advice that you just say to these people? Like, you know what, love them where they're at. But, you know, this is a little piece of Dylan that you're going to be able to leave with all of these people to be able to have with them a piece of you. What is that advice that you give those people?
It's a great question. I'm glad you prepped me for that one. I think honestly, looking back on everything I've done in my life and everything I've accomplished in my life, in the moment, going out to a bar, or going out to a party, or staying out late, or having a few extra drinks, whatever that may look like. I mean, I'm number one culprit for that. Absolutely. I'm the one who would drink more than I should have and be hungover the next day and just got nothing done. I'll tell you right now that the Miracle Morning changed my life in that capacity. I've basically cut out drinking. I cut out the majority of all alcohol, the majority of all partying. Yeah, I go out, I'll have a glass of wine, or I'll have dinner with wine, whatever that may be. And what really resonates with me is the power and the passion and the emotion that I get in the morning when I wake up and have a really good day and change someone's life. It allows me to do things that I would never be able to do by just drinking. Like that kind of short-term gratification on, oh, I got really drunk and I went out to a party and I had a really good time that you don't really remember. Well, nothing beats going to climb the top of a mountain in Bali or going surfing in an area that you've never thought possible, or going skydiving or bungee jumping, or these things that I've now checked off my bucket list. And I think going through a lot of those areas, I spent 5 months in Poland. That was an incredible opportunity to meet some incredible people and really build a network over there as well. So these other things that I can do now because I am successful and I do have the capital to do so, buying real estate and being able to change someone's life by giving them a home that's actually clean. You'd be amazed to see how many dumps I purchased. And I'm like, where's the landlord? And you just can't see them. And it's like, where are they? And they just made money for the last 20 years and ignored everything. And so you take these properties that are totally underperforming, but they're also totally dumped. And you turn those into something that's someone's home. That people always say that they're bad tenants everywhere. You know what? Bad tenants are in their environment. If you have a really nice room, the room I'm in right now, I'm not going to move the wedding photos over there and play with them at all. I'm not going to damage anything. I wipe off the counter when I'm done with it. Just make sure it's nice and clean, because what I came into is so nice. I want someone else to appreciate that. Being able to do that for families is way better than ever spending a night out and spending a bunch of money on booze or whatever.
Yeah, because it's you have a greater purpose other than yourself. And you certainly have found that, because I know that, as you're growing, you're like, how do I help me? And what do I do for me? And very quickly you have seen that, helping other people, whether it be through charity events or creating clean, safe, and appropriate housing units that you would live in because you're proud of them, because they meet all of your requirements. It's not that you're going to buy a 32 unit building to be like, look at me, I'm like, under 30 with a 32 unit and I just made, X amount of millions of dollars. That's not been said here, Dylan. That's not your reason that you're doing it. I can feel that from you. And so it's like this purpose greater than yourself. I didn't prep you for any questions, because you speak from your heart, and you are who you are because of everything that you've had happen. And I think that's a great piece of information and tip for somebody to leave with today.
Well, thanks for calling me out on that one. At least I left something that I can now go back down to the room and say, hey, this is what Mandy just pulled out of me without me realizing. So It is definitely deep down. I do care about people. I care about the people I'm around. And I remember, I'll never forget the time I went and looked at 43 properties because you wanted to go on a buying spree. So in 2 days, I went and looked at 43 to preview for you. So, and that was like the most exciting thing I'd ever done. No drinking, no parties, no late nights could ever beat going and looking at 43 properties, knowing that you were going to be buying some of them and changing the lives of others. So thank you so much for having me on today, and happy to have anyone reach out and speak anytime and anything I could do to help.
Absolutely. And Larry has all your contact information. So if you want to reach out to Dylan, all of the stuff is on here. I thank you again for watching another episode of The Full-Time Investor. It warms my heart to know that I'm surrounded by some phenomenal people, and you are now in my circle too. Dylan can be in your circle. So please, thanks for being the best version of yourself. Thanks for coming out today. And this is Mandy Brenham signing off for another week of The Full-Time Investor.